Hey, what's going on, guys? So following Forest's 4-0 defeat to Leicester City in the East Midlands derby, Steve Cooper's job appears to be under huge threat. The likes of Rafa, Benitez, Bruno Lage, Nuno Espirito Santo and Sean Dyche are being linked with the position by the press, but as far as I'm concerned, sacking this man would be a huge mistake. First and foremost, fans need to stop buying into the narrative that Evangelos Marinakis is a trigger-happy owner, given he sacked Carlos Corberán just 6 weeks into his reign at Olympiacos. For those of you unaware, this is how the previous 3 seasons have panned out for them domestically. 2019-20, 20 wins, 6 draws, 0 defeats. 2020-21, 21 wins, 4 draws, 1 defeat. And 2021-22, 20 wins, 5 draws, 1 defeat. Meanwhile, the beginning of this campaign has already seen 2 draws and a defeat in just 5 games. Against piss-poor opposition, might I add, and I'm excluding the 6 matches the victory came following Corberán's departure, which has put them 7 points behind leaders Panathinaikos. Furthermore, they failed to pick up any points from their opening 2 Europa League group stage games, which included a humiliating 3-0 home loss to Freiburg, so you can see why Marinakis has acted early in this instance. Not to mention that unlike Corberán, Cooper has a lot of credit in the bank following an unprecedented turnaround in the championship last season, and has finally brought back a real sense of unity around Forest, something which can't be said about the 2 decades prior to his arrival. Given the sheer scale of change that has taken place at the club over this summer, more change is unlikely to provide any solutions. It's an impossible job for any manager to work with over 20 new players at one go and be expected to deliver results right away in the toughest league on the planet. On paper, the squad looks absolutely mint, but there's so many intangibles that come into play, such as the culture and atmosphere within the dressing room, relationship between teammates and in turn individual players with the coaching staff, as well as the amount of pressure that comes with being under the microscope in the Premier League, all factors which will take time to create and or acclimatize to. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I firmly believe we'll see a different team altogether after the turn of the year, with the mid-season World Cup providing a welcome break for all to get their heads around the top-flight return, which has been a real baptism of fire. Should the worst happen and Forest end up getting relegated, they've put themselves in a fantastic position to come back up straight away with all this investment. Look no further than Fulham for motivation. They've taken the league by storm this time round, despite looking like a pub side in 2020-2021. So this current painful experience could in fact prove to be a blessing in disguise, in comparison to bringing a new manager in, winning a few fixtures from the bounce that generally comes with it, but completely collapsing in the long term after losing the spirit and togetherness that Cooper brings to a club. Another example that springs to mind is Burnley in 2014-15. They went down under Sean Dyche but decided to stick by their man and were rewarded big time as he had them finishing in a European position just a few years later. As you're all acutely aware, sacking him when the going got tough didn't save them from beating the drop last year either, so the grass isn't always greener on the other side. As for the game against Leicester itself, despite the humiliating scoreline, 2 things really stood out to me. First and foremost, Cooper switching from a 5 to a 4 at the back. A lot of managers in today's game are stubborn in their convictions and unwilling to adapt to the situation at hand regardless of outside noise. The fact that he took that step is promising in its own right and suggests he's willing to make big decisions without letting his ego or pride get in the way. Secondly, the one-on-one chances that Awani had, particularly the first one. If that goes in, it's a different game altogether, with those in the King Power likely getting on the home team's back following a string of shocking results, and the players out on the pitch really feeling the heat. It just goes to show you how fine the margins are at the very highest level. That obviously doesn't excuse the humiliation that followed by any stretch of the imagination, but it is food for thought. As for the names being linked with the job, is the favorite to get it in Rafa Benitez really what's required? A coach who has notoriously bad man management skills and tactics that were once second to none, but now appear to be getting left behind as the years go by. The jury's still very much out on Frank Lampard, but as things stand, Everton have the best defense in the league after 8 games. Something which you couldn't have even dreamt about when Rafa was at the helm. If he stuck around, they'd be in the championship without a shadow of a doubt. So wanting him in is more based on what he achieved a decade ago than how he's been coping in the modern day game. Bruno Lage, on the other hand, just got the boot after overseeing a run of 18 games with 3 wins and very few goals scored, despite having a well-settled and high-quality Wolves side at his disposal. As for Nuno, he's currently in charge of a Saudi Arabian club, which suggests he's more concerned with lining his pockets than competing against the very best in the sport. Simply not a good look. Dyche admittedly is a great shout, and the overwhelming majority of clubs in the country would be lucky to have him. That being said, do you really want to end this relationship with Cooper? We bang on about loyalty as fans, but are quick to throw our toys out the pram at the first sign of trouble, and demand change immediately. To be fair to Forest supporters, The overwhelming majority seem to be standing by Cooper, and rightly so. What he's done for the club in such a short space of time is nothing short of a fairy tale, and if given a chance to turn things around, could help create a dynasty, which I can't see being the case with any other manager on the market. The Villa game on Monday night is likely to be make or break, and I'll most certainly be tuning in to see how it all unfolds. Cheers for tuning in as always, folks. I really look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments down below, particularly if you're a Forest fan, and hope to catch you in the next one. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.